It's
Well,
very appropriate that my camera gives everything a very purple
uh,
filter.
what is up, everybody? Jason and Joe here, coming at you with a record review. Today, we are talking about the new Deep Purple record, Whoosh. This is Deep Purple's 21st studio album. They've gone through a lot of different sort of incarnations, this band, a lot of different members in and out over the years. Although on this record, they've got a lineup that's been stable for a good while now. You've got Ian Gillan on vocals, Ian Paice on drums, Roger Glover on bass, Steve Morse on guitar, and Airey on keyboards. Bob Ezrin, famous producer, known for his work mostly with like Kiss and Alice Cooper and a bunch of other artists over the years, is producing. This is his third record in a row with the band. So what are your thoughts on the record there, Joe?
Well, I'm not really familiar with this like iteration of Deep Purple. Mark, I don't know what Mark they're calling themselves these days. Mark 5, 6. So I didn't quite know what to expect. I guess I was, when I think of Deep Purple, I think of that giant organ sound. And I think of Ritchie Blackmore's, pentatonic scales. So this was kind of an interesting, so I don't know, it's a bit of a surprise, I guess, when I heard it. It's not really what I thought Deep Purple would sound like even now, but it wasn't like an unpleasant kind of surprise. It was just sort of like, okay, so this is Deep Purple in 2020. I guess expectations kind of have to be tempered for people maybe who aren't familiar with Deep Purple in 2020 and maybe are expecting that classic sound.
I'm a pretty big Deep Purple fan. They were my favorite band probably in like middle school and into the sort of beginning of high school before Rush took over that title. And when I was getting into them was right when Perpendicular came out, which was the first record with Steve Morse on it. So I was a big fan of that record. I got the next record, Abandon, the day it came out. I really liked the Coverdale era of the band with Glenn Hughes on bass and Come Taste the Band with Tommy Bolin on guitar. So I'm not totally, just locked into the Mark II lineup, the classic era Machine Head type of sound. But I do feel like starting with Bananas, the couple of Michael Bradford produced records, started to lose interest around then. Infinite, the last record before this one, was pretty decent, better than the previous few had been, but I don't know, Whoosh isn't really doing much for me. I don't really care for the production that much. Songwriting is mediocre. There's some okay playing on it. I mean, Steve Morse and Airey are incredible players, but I don't know, just something's not clicking. I think especially the mix on this is really not that good.
I think that's my biggest problem with the album. Is it's so kind of overproduced and like there's no rough edges at all. Everything's filed down completely. It kind of sounds, there's songs and there's some of the synth lines sound like, it basically sounds like video game music because it's so kind of, it doesn't sound like a band. It sounds like somebody in a studio on a MIDI control panel or something, especially on kind of like the gothic. They try for this gothic sound on the Power of the Moon and Step by Step. And even the sort of like that little synth line on Throw My Bones, it doesn't sound real to me. It sounds, sort of like Dream Theater light a lot of the times. I get that. I got that vibe a lot from this album without kind of the virtuosity that those guys kind of bring to the table. I want more kind of organ all over the place. I want more guitar solos. I think the playing is just a little too restrained. It's a little too, I don't know, trying to find the word. It's like adult contemporary rock and roll, basically.
I watched another number of other reviews of this record, and people saying it's not very heavy, but a lot of people are making they're being kind of apologists, like, well, what do you want? They're like these old dudes. It's like not going to be that heavy, but I mean, they made a pretty good record just a couple years ago. I don't see why there's really any need to be an apologist for this record. It's just not that great. I don't think they should be able to do better than this. They're incredible players. Steve Morse is a fantastic guitar player. Airey is a great keyboardist. Ian Paice is one of the best drummers ever. Ian Gillan's incredible vocalist. I mean, he's never been a great lyricist, but I don't know. They should be able to do better than this, even at their age.
Yeah, I don't think age is any excuse for something like this. It's just, I don't know, you get like tastes, little hints of, that first guitar solo on Throw My Bones, I think is pretty great. And then you never really get anything that interesting after that. It's sort of just not that fast, slightly sped up blues, guitar with kind of the sounds you've heard before. There's nothing on here that you haven't heard before much better. Like you said, it's just missing something. The lyrics, there's too many corny kind of dad jokes thrown in there, verging on kind of like in some cases, and sort of their, I guess the centerpiece of the album, Man Alive, just doesn't. It doesn't go anywhere for me. It just kind of meanders around. And all this being said, I didn't hate the album. It's perfectly kind of a pleasant listen to, but it's like listening to, I don't know, like a Michael Bolton record or something. It's just, it sounds fine, but there's obviously not that much inspiration. The playing is sort of just by the numbers. It feels ordinary and overproduced, and I'm sure they could do better and have done better in the past.
Yeah, and you're talking about kind of the corny lyrics, and like I just said, he's never been the greatest lyricist, but it's never really mattered that much because the focus was like on this intensity, and the mixes were kind of in your face. This record's mixed like a pop record. The drums are super quiet, so there's no sort of punch. The vocals are really loud, so they're putting the focus right on sort of the album's biggest weakness, and it just doesn't really work that well for me. What do you rank it out of 5 stars?
I get half stars, right? I can play with the half stars.
You do half stars.
I mean, I was thinking of rating it like when I was thinking of the 10 number scale, I was thinking maybe like a 6, but 3 out of 5 stars seems a little much. I'm going to say 2.5 stars.
That's right where I'm at too. I think it's 2.5 stars. Barely. It's almost just a 2-star, but I'm going to give it 2.5. Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible, but it's disappointing coming from a band that's, got this kind of legacy and have made some pretty decent music in the recent past. So I think, I don't know, I did the full listography video on Deep Purple, and I'm pretty sure I said Bananas was the worst Deep Purple record, and I'm trying to think, I think this is probably worse than Bananas. So this might be the worst Deep Purple record, in my opinion. But if you're a huge Deep Purple fan, it's still worth a listen. It's not the worst thing in the world. So yeah, let us know what you think of this record down in the comments. If you've heard it, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you are not already subscribed. Hit the bell so that you get notifications. And we will see you in the next one.